All right, today's mental toughness is on cognitive and strategic mindset that you need to give your student athlete. And that's something that can be developed, and it needs to be developed. And not only developed, it needs to be matured. Not matured, but it needs to be fed into and make it a part of their learning process. Like right now, I'm teaching my son how to play chess so he can learn how to think one, two, three or four plays ahead, and that will give you a decisive advantage. And when you go into games and competition, it's about doing anything and everything to give your student athlete an edge, an advantage over their opponent. And if you have built that into them, where they automatically, once they step on the field of play, they already know that, okay, if X is going to do this, I'm going to do Y. And when I do Y, X is going to do this. It's about just building that toughness. Another part of that mental toughness that's vital. You got to have the ability to think the game as well as play the game. And if you can do both, and that the thinking portion it can't be to a point where it's hindering their play. It should be automatic. So if you do the more repetition and the more things you do to prepare them prior to the game, then that just makes them having a decisive advantage over everybody else. Chess, to me, I learned at a very young age, and it's my fault. I should have taught him a little earlier. That helped aid him to think ahead of the game and be smart. Like I said, chess, man, there's so many different moves and pieces that could be made on the board, and it relates to all type of sports and strategic outcomes. And your strategy is very important. You got to have a strategy in whatever you do in life, not just sports. And the cognitive portion is it makes you think. It makes you think ahead. It makes you think of what your opponent's going to do and what's your counter. And what's your counter to the counter to the counter. I mean, it just helps you greatly when it comes to building that mindset in your student athlete to not only be the best, to think like they're the best, and they have to know. And also, it goes back to what I always say, that mental toughness portion is that confidence. If you go into competition and you already know that you smarter than the other person, that you can outthink that other person, that aids you greatly in the outcome of that game and your mental toughness, and just be mentally prepared and cognitive. And that strategic portion, man, like I said, man, you got to put your kids in like with chess and anything that makes them think. Risk was another great game I used to play growing up. It's a game about war, it's strategy, and just things that help build that mental toughness so they can think the game as well as play the game. But and make sure you stay on top of that part, man. Like I said, chess, there's other games you could do. You can break down game film. I do that even now. Previous games, and you can show them, okay, when you made this move, X did this. So what's your counter to that? And you got to build on that type of relationship with your kid. You got to make sure that they understand, think the game as well as play the game, man. Mental toughness, baby, key, very key. I'll holla.